Rain poured heavily over the small town of Brookhaven that evening, the kind of rain that seemed to carry memories in every drop. The streets glistened beneath the streetlights, and the sound of thunder rolled across the sky like the echo of old heartbreaks. Inside a little coffee shop tucked at the corner of Maple Avenue, Emily sat by the window, staring out at the storm. Her fingers traced the rim of her mug, trembling slightly. It had been 2 years, 2 long, silent years, since she had last seen Noah. She thought she had finally learned to live without him. But sometimes, no matter how much time passes, the heart remembers what the mind tries to forget. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us that sometimes love doesn't fade, it just waits for the right moment to return. Emily's life had changed in ways she could have never imagined. 2 years ago, she had loved Noah with everything she had. They had plans, dreams of building a life together, of little moments like this one, sitting by the window with the rain tapping softly on the glass. But things don't always unfold the way we plan them. Noah's job had taken him to another city. At first, they promised to make it work, long calls, late-night texts, visits on weekends. But distance is a silent thief. It steals connection, trust, and comfort, little by little, until all that's left are echoes of what used to be. It started with missed calls, then unanswered messages, then arguments that led to silence. The last time she saw him, he had said words she couldn't forget, words that burned like salt on a wound. Maybe we're just not meant to be. She remembered the way he turned away without looking back, the rain falling just like tonight. That was the day Emily's world shattered quietly. A few months later, she found out she was pregnant. It was the same week she learned Noah had been promoted and was settling down in a new city. She wanted to tell him, she wanted to tell him, but something inside her stopped. Maybe it was pride, maybe pain, or maybe it was the way he had left so easily, as if she had been just another chapter. She told herself she didn't need him, that she could do it alone, and she did. Emily worked 2 jobs to prepare for her baby. She learned how to be strong on the days she felt weak, how to smile even when she wanted to cry. Her parents helped when they could, but most of the time, it was just her and her growing belly, dreaming of the tiny heartbeat that reminded her she wasn't alone anymore. When baby Oliver was born, she felt a kind of love that was pure and indescribable, a love that healed parts of her heart she thought were gone forever. Now, 2 years later, she had built a simple life. She worked at the local preschool, spent her evenings reading stories to Oliver, and learned to find joy in small things: the smell of coffee, the warmth of morning light, the sound of her baby's laughter. She had made peace with her past, or so she believed, until today. When the coffee shop door opened and the familiar chime rang, Emily's heart stopped. She didn't need to look up to know it was him. Some people leave a feeling behind that you can never mistake. Noah stepped inside, shaking the rain off his jacket. He looked older, more tired, but still had that same gentle strength in his eyes. For a moment, time didn't just slow, it folded, taking her back to the day they last stood in the rain when everything fell apart. He saw her almost immediately. Their eyes met through the crowd, and the noise of the cafe faded. The world felt still. Noah hesitated, then started walking toward her, his expression unreadable. Emily's heart pounded so hard she thought it might break again. When he reached her table, his voice was soft but carried 1,000 memories. "Emily," he said, almost like a prayer. She forced a polite smile, her throat tightening. "Noah." He sat down across from her, his eyes searching her face as if trying to catch up on the lost years. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again," he said. "I came back to visit my parents, and someone told me you were still here." His words were tentative, unsure. Emily nodded slowly, not trusting her voice. There was silence between them, heavy, familiar, and fragile. Finally, Noah spoke again, his tone quieter this time. "You look different, happier." Then, after a pause that seemed to stretch forever, he whispered, "I thought you moved on." Emily looked down, her breath catching as she gently shifted the blanket in her arms. Noah's eyes followed her movement, and then he froze. For the first time he noticed the tiny baby resting peacefully against her chest. A little boy, maybe a year and a half old, with soft curls and Noah's unmistakable hazel eyes. The world seemed to tilt. The color drained from his face as realization hit him like a storm. "Emily," his voice cracked, trembling with disbelief. "Is he—" Emily couldn't speak. Her throat felt tight, and her heart raced with everything she had kept hidden. She looked down at her son, his tiny hand clutching her sweater, and finally whispered, "His name is Oliver." For a long moment, neither of them said anything. The cafe noise returned faintly, cups clinking, people talking, but to them it was just silence filled with everything left unsaid. Noah's eyes glistened, and he leaned back, exhaling shakily. "He should have told me," he finally said, his voice breaking. Emily looked out the window at the rain again. "I wanted to," she said softly. "But you were gone, Noah. You had a new life, a new city. I didn't want to be the reason you stayed out of guilt. I thought it was better this way." Noah's hand ran through his hair as regret washed over his face. "I wasn't happy," he murmured. "I thought leaving was the right thing, that we both needed space. But every day, I missed you. I missed us. And now—" His voice cracked. "I missed him." Emily's eyes filled with tears she didn't want to show. "You walked away when I needed you most," she said, her voice trembling. "And I had to learn how to live again without you." Noah nodded slowly, his own eyes wet. "I know, and I'll never forgive myself for it." He looked at Oliver again, awe softening his features. "He's beautiful. He looks just like you. Except those eyes." A broken laugh escaped him. "God, those are mine." For the next hour they talked, quietly, carefully, about everything that had happened in the years between. Noah told her how his job had consumed him, how loneliness had eventually crept in despite his success. Emily told him about the nights she stayed up with Oliver, the milestones she faced alone, and how she had learned to smile again. Every word was like stitching together a torn photograph piece by piece. Outside, the rain began to ease. Sunlight broke through the clouds, scattering soft gold across the wet streets. Noah asked if he could hold Oliver. Emily hesitated, then slowly handed the baby over. Oliver blinked up at the stranger holding him, then smiled, the kind of innocent, pure smile that could melt the hardest heart. Noah's lips trembled as he whispered, "Hey, buddy." His voice cracked, and for the first time in years, tears spilled freely down his cheeks. Watching him hold their son, Emily felt something shift inside her. The anger she had carried for so long began to dissolve, replaced by something gentler, an ache of forgiveness she didn't expect. Maybe love never truly died. Maybe it just waited for hearts to be ready again. Noah looked up, his voice soft.